Hi, I'm Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. And this is Tristan, who is a Corgi. He's hiding. And this is another episode of Conversations with a Corgi. And this is what we're talking about today. It's everywhere. It's springtime. It's frightening. It's taking over the house. It's on everything you own that's navy, black, dark green, blue, even pink. It's in your clothes, it's in your shoes, it's in your slippers, it's on your sofa. It takes over the entire world in the spring of every year. Dog hair. Today we are going to talk about hair. I don't really need my glasses for this subject because it is so ubiquitous, but I need to be able to see you, so I'm wearing them. I also wanted to show you from my talk on Sunday, since we're talking about hair today. This is my purple wig that I wore for many months, and it does not shed. The hair on the wig stays there. It's almost the same color as my new purple blue hair, but that's the wig, and you can see it's had better days after being worn for a year and only being a $25 synthetic wig. It's held up pretty well. But Tristan has enough hair on him right now to make 7 Corgis. And I pulled out this little hairball in about 4 minutes. So one of the things that people wonder in the spring is, what do I do with all the dog hair? It's all over everything in my life. It's in your food, it's in your drinks, it's on the cupboard tops, it's on everything you sit on, it's in your car, it's in your underwear drawer, and you don't know how it got there. So what are we going to do about the dog hair? Well, one person I know had a really creative solution. She has collies, long hair. She actually gathered up all the collie hair and used it to spin into yarn and then made a sweater from her dog's hair. Several other people have done this. If you search the internet and look at different knitting groups, you will see that people have used their rabbit's hair, their goat's hair, and their dog's hair to make sweaters. The problem with the collie sweater, though, and you can search this on Google, is that when they're wet, or if you're sweating and creating a wetness, they still smell like a wet dog, a little bit like a wet dog. You know, it's not a smell that's going to make the person sitting next to you at work like you anymore. And your clients or patients, if you're a therapist or something, are not going to love coming to you when you're wearing your dog hair stinky wet sweater. So while it's a nice thing to make your dog hairs into a sweater so that you have a remembrance of all the dogs you've ever had, and surprisingly, I think only 1 or 2 dogs spring shedding helped my client make her dog hairs into a sweater. It's not necessarily the best thing to wear for any kind of formal occasion or even lounging around the house if it's a humid or damp day. So what else do we do with the dog hairs? Where does it come from? In my house, I have long hair. Pieces fall out all the time. And what I find interesting is that as much as I want to blame Tristan for the fur balls all over the house on the floor, there's only little fur balls that come when there's a piece of my hair in the middle. It seems that dog hair of his type, which we'll talk more about in a minute, collects around another hair or some other item that's on the floor of my house, like a piece of thread or something like that. And so his hair, unlike some breeds of dogs, does not accumulate in a pile unless one of my hairs is in the beginning of the pile. And then I will find these little fuzz balls roaming around where I don't have carpet, on the hardwood floor, under the end tables, anywhere there's a corner or a turn in the house, anything like a chair that's risen off the ground like 1 or 2 inches will have tons of little fur balls living under it. And I find that my hair is always in the middle of it, so it's hard for me to blame my dog when it's in fact my hair that started the pile. I have had clients with Pyrenees, and Pyrenees have a different kind of hair. It's more like a sheep hair. It's like a fluffy, and the undercoat comes out with the top coat, and it makes big fluffy tumbleweeds with longer hair circling the outside. And those tumbleweeds go everywhere. I mean, you can see them floating by in the air. You can see them on the fireplace mantle. They're all over the floors. They go by the grates where the heat comes and goes. You can see them clinging to the tail of your other little small breed dog trotting around the house. Pyrenees tumbleweeds coming from, you know, a 130-pound dog can really take over your life in the spring. And like many breeds, they seem to shed all year round. We always need a new coat. It's getting colder, it's getting warmer. These hairs are old, I want some new ones. So hairs are coming and going, and Pyrenees tumbleweeds are light and fluffy and go everywhere in the house. The other interesting thing about the dog hairs in my house is that they seem to accumulate under any chair legs that I have. Stools will always have a couple of balls of dog hair under each leg, especially at this time of year. Any place where you have something on the floor that's like against the wall with a couple of legs, lots of dog hair clinging to the legs, and then little tumbleweeds in between the legs. And I only have one dog, so I can imagine, like my sister, she has maybe 10 dogs, and even though the schnauzer is big and doesn't really shed, her hairs are probably similar to mine. They create a place for the other dog hairs to wrap around and then wander around the house. So how can we combat this? Let's talk about some other types of dog hairs first. There are many kinds of dog hairs. Tristan's hairs, I think I can pick one off right here. That wasn't attached, Biss. I need a loose one. Wouldn't it be like I couldn't find one now? I don't know if you can see this up close, but his hair, if I put it on me so you can see it, it's got a little kink to it. And that is actually beneficial for cleaning. That kink keeps the hair from sticking to things in a way that you can't remove it. If you are unfortunate and have a silky dog, like a golden retriever or a cat, that silky hair, it looks like it's going to brush off, but it just creates a smear. You can't really get the silky hairs off without some special techniques, which we'll talk about. And then there's the other kinds of hairs. There's Labrador hairs, Doberman hairs, Dachshund hairs, all those short breed dogs like pointers. Their hairs are like little daggers. They are very pointy on the end, and they tend to go into fabric like this and stick in there. And so you can vacuum and they won't come out because the hair cuticles really lock to the fabric. This is a big problem. And so there are several things I do to try to get those dachshund hairs out of fabric, but you need some kind of a brush, not just a vacuum cleaner, to get them out. And I don't know how people who live with dogs with this type of hair manage the hair situation. I mean, the thing about that type of hair is that the house can be full of it and you don't notice because it has so permanently attached to the furniture and the carpets that it's not just sitting there. It doesn't stick to you when you stand up or sit down. But if you look closely at a light colored piece of furniture and you have like a dark lab or a dark dachshund, you will see, or Doberman, you will see like a little trail of hairs glued to whatever piece of furniture you have around your house that that animal has been sitting on. And in fact, a piece of my hair just fell out. Oh no, it's a piece of the wig hair. That'll have some dog hairs around it later today. So what do I do to manage all the dog hair in my life, and what suggestions can I have for you about dog hair? One of the first things I use for my dog is a slicker brush. This one is loaded with hair, and I only ran it over him like 3 times. And he's a little dog. He weighs 18 pounds. My 30-pound Corgi, and the one I had before him, who weighed 25 pounds, the rule was at this time of year, 5 packed brush loads of hair every day. That was the minimum brushing they would get. With this guy, it's 2 packed loads a day. If you brush your dog every morning with whatever brush works for your type of hair, I mean, if you have a dog that has like a shorter coat, like a pointer, you're not going to use a slicker brush. A brush like this might work. Actually, this brush is here for another point. But, you know, you have your breed of dog and you know what kinds of things are good to brush him with. But a soft brush with stiff bristles is good for some of those shorter coats like pointers and Dobermans. And, you know, you're not going to use a slicker brush on a golden retriever. Their hair is too long. So those wire brushes that stick up, those are better for that type of dog. But then they also have a shorter coat on their back. So then you might need this kind of a brush for that. So one of the best things you can do to combat dog hair in the spring is brushing your dog. And that will help cut down on the dog hairs in the house and your frustration with trying to keep your house presentable with dog hair, without dog hair floating around. A couple of things that my friends have liked and used. I have a friend who loves a whisk brush. It's one of these little stiff brushes, and it not that you need this for the dog hair, but it has a little scooper that it comes with, and it's stiff, so this is actually a pretty good brush to use on upholstered fabric to clean up the dog hair. Now, it works great with my kind of dog hair, the kinky hair, but like I said, with the curlier long hair like a Pyrenees has, it's just going to roll those tumbleweeds away, and they take loft in the wind and you cannot get them. And with some of that pointier short hair, also it can help get the surface layer off, but a whisk brush is not always the best thing for that type of hair either. Although it is really good for German Shepherd hair, Corgi hair. A lot of the herding breeds have that double coat with the kinky hair on the top. One of the things I couldn't live without during the dog hair shedding season is my rubber brush. This one has like a knife edge on one side that's soft rubber, and then it's got these rubber bristles that stick up. You can even see there's a dog hair hanging out of it. This brush I use in the car, on the carpet in the car, but it's also a really good brush to use for many types of dog hair, including those Pyrenees tumbleweeds and golden retriever hair, Corgi hair, German Shepherd hair. Not so good on the golden retriever hair because, again, it's not that stiff, and when you've got that silky hair, you need stiffness to pull it in. So this brush is great. I like the if you've got really like even dachshund hair stuck in the carpet, if you run this over it, it really sticks to the hair and pulls it up so that then you can easily vacuum it. So a rubber brush with bristles and a little blade on one side, which isn't a blade, it's totally rubbery. It's like a squeegee. And you can use a squeegee if you don't have one of these brushes. It's amazing how much dog hair you think is not there, and when you use the squeegee. We're back. It does seem every morning that we get kicked offline at the same time. Okay, so if you use the squeegee brush, even on dachshund hair, you can get a good layer of hair off of your furniture and off of your carpets. It's a really good brush to have. And in an emergency, it's also a good thing to use for your clothes. That's why I keep mine in my car in case I get out of the car and I'm covered with hair on my black pants. It's a good brush to just get that hair off quickly. One of the things that you really need to use for that silky kind of hair, like my sister's calves have and like the golden retrievers have and Papillons, is a damp towel. A microfiber cloth towel is even better. You can get those cheap everywhere now. I just take a little bit of water and throw it on it and then use that towel, and it really collects dog hair like a dream. And you know, you have the added benefit, like if you use essential oils mixed with the water that you spritz the towel with, you get this nice clean scent, which is also beneficial if you live in a house with many pets. A damp towel works great on cat hair as well, and also works well to get cat hair off of your pants if you've been sitting with the cat and suddenly you have to go to the office. I use a flat brush like this. This has dog hair in it right now, but a brush like this can also be really useful to clean dog hair off of fabric in your house, to get a little pile off of the rug in the corner of the house, and to use on your clothes. This one has a Corgi painted on it, so it's near and dear to my heart, and actually it's got my Corgi Comet's hair in it right now, so I don't use it anymore because I miss him, including his hair. More on that coming up. The other thing that many people use to remove dog hair, and I have to say I've become a huge fan. I have a client who has boxers, and they have that kind of hair dachshunds have, that have little daggers that point into things, and she buys the lint rollers by the crate. And she is generous in her use of them. She runs them over her clothes, over her furniture, and sometimes, yes, on the dog. These are wonderful. The only thing that's wrong with them is that they don't last very long. Like this one right now is just loaded with Corgi hair and indeed my hair. So I'm going to give it a clean side. And I've only used this once, and like, just look at all the things sticking to that. It's kind of disgusting. So I love the lint rollers, and since I learned from my client to buy them by the case, I'm a lot happier using them. They never seemed to last very long when I had 2 dogs, and I was using them for every client that came and left who was a human who didn't have a dog, and I was using them to clean things in my own environment, like the top of the sofa, before a guest comes over. So these sticky lint rollers are really good for Labrador hair, boxer hair, dachshund hair, all that pointy stick into the fabric hair. They are not perfect. Nothing beats a good vacuuming with a seriously good vacuum. I have a Miele vacuum. A lot of people have Dysons and things like that, which have better suction, supposedly. And one of the interesting things about managing your dog hair is that it's really important to clean your vacuum cleaner out frequently, because mine will only have a fairly empty bag after I do 2 vacuums of the whole house, which is 2,000 square feet. After that, with 1 dog in the spring, I need to dump the bag. In the part of the year when he's not shedding as much, who's sure when that is, July maybe, I might be able to empty the vacuum after like 4 vacuums of the house. So be aware that your vacuum bag may fill up twice as fast during the shedding season, even with 1 dog, let alone 5 or 3 or however many pets you have. So the lint roller is a good thing to use to save your vacuum cleaner a little bit, but make sure you also vacuum out the inside of your vacuum cleaner. Otherwise, you're just throwing hair around your house even further. So what else have I used? One of the things I'd like to say about the slicker brush that I use with Tristan, and everyone should be aware of this at this time of year, the ticks are back here in Massachusetts. Just in the last 3 days, I have found like 4 ticks on him after his little walk. I have broken out the cedar spray that I use and some of the other herbal products that I use to prevent ticks from jumping on him and to kill them if they are on him. But one of the things I've started doing last year was using the slicker brush after a walk. And I have discovered that this picks up those tiny ticks. In fact, this morning, when I just pulled out this ball of fluff, there was a little black spot in it, very tiny, and it was a tick. And that tick has been sitting on him probably since our walk yesterday at 7 p.m. So I am very happy to have retrieved that tick and gotten rid of it so that it's not on my dog. We have, in my yard, luckily, we have more anaplasmosis than Lyme or Rocky Mountain or the Ehrlichia or any of the other 18 diseases or more that you can get from ticks. It's not really 18 in my area, but I am not wanting my dog to be a host for parasites of any kind. And I think almost every day after our walk, when I brush him with the slicker brush at this time of year, just a quick go over, I find a tick almost every time. The other thing I use, and I don't recommend this as a way to help your dog when he's shedding, are these little flea combs that you can get. These are impossible to get through a dog's hair like mine. I mean, I can kind of, it's really not good. However, his little Mittens, can we show a Mitten? Can you sit up, hon? Come on, you can do it. Ugh, it's hard. His Mittens have very short hair, like a pointer or a dachshund. So after a walk, I sometimes use the flea comb on his Mittens because that is where the ticks are going to be starting to work their way up into my dog. So I keep one of these and my slicker brush by the door so that when I come back from a walk, I can get those ticks before they're even close to attaching. And of course, they're trying to get up to his ears and his neck. So if I keep his bib and his neck pretty brushed up after a walk, I can stop a lot of the ticks. But I can't tell you, at least every other day, until I start using the cedar, because that's really effective, I get one of these on his feet and find a tick like every other day crawling on his little Mittens. So can't emphasize enough the importance of frequently brushing your dog, especially at the time of the year when they're shedding. So you may think that dog hair is just, you know, the bane of your existence at this time of year, and there's hair everywhere, and, you know, it's a constant struggle to manage it. You're vacuuming, and at some point you get exhausted or busy, and you just stop, and you're just going to live with the hair. But there are some advantages to allowing dog hair to be around your house. One of the things I love about my dog's hair is if I go on vacation and I pull out something with a dark color, or even any color really, because his hair is everywhere. He does not sleep in my bed. That's one place I can't have too much hair, because I use that to lay out clothes in the morning and things, and I just don't want to add any extra hair. But when I'm on vacation and I pull out something, and I have been away from my dog for a couple of days, or even if I'm just traveling for work or whatever, and I see a few of his hair stuck to something, even if he's with me, it always makes me smile. I always reminds me of my dog. I always have a joke in my head like, oh my gosh, there's the dog hair again. So having a few hairs on your dog is actually a good thing when they're on your clothes and you're far away, because it reminds you of your dog and how much you love him, and it's like bringing a piece of home with you everywhere. Similarly, if I am at my other job or at a meeting or talking to someone important and I look down at my arm and see a few dog hairs stuck there, it again makes me smile, reminds me that someone who loves me is with me with his fur, and so I know that I'm okay because I have dog hair on my body. And the other thing is, if you're out and you see someone else with dog hair or cat hair stuck to their pants, you know they love animals, so you already have a friend in the room. And I have, in fact, for a few years now, used an ad for one of the events I go to. It's quite formal. People get really dressed up. And my ad says, if dog hair completed your outfit this evening, hold on to this ad, and then they get a discount if they call me for a session. So people who have hair on them are your friends. They're your peeps. They're your tribe. So look for other people that have dog hair, cat hair, or even horse hair stuck to them, because at this time of year, horses shed a lot. And many of my friends have remarked, I don't know how I find horse hair in the laundry in my underwear. How does it get there? But in fact, hair clings to you and goes into your clothes at whatever layer they can get to. So you will find hair everywhere. Another important thing is to make sure you keep the lint trap on your dryer quite clean at this time of year, because dog hairs I've seen in my life have gone from the washer to the dryer. I didn't clean the lint screen. They get reattached to the hairs and go back through the washer, or to the clothes, go back through the washer and back through the dryer. So I have like this recycling thing between the washer and dryer and my clothes with the same dog hairs. So make sure you clean that lint trap often. And it's really important for your dryer to clean the lint trap anyway, so that it dries more effectively. So a couple of those advantages of the dog hair is that it goes with you on vacation. It helps you find other people like you. And if you're having a stressful day at the office, you can look down and see that dog hair on your clothes and have a smile and know that someone loves you at home. And when you're there, you'll be able to sit with your cat or your dog or your horse. And one of the other things I love about my dog hair, and for me at this point in my life, having had 3 Corgis, it's less significant than for a friend of mine. She had a husky. Huskies shed a lot, and they hate being brushed. They scream like they're being murdered sometimes when you brush them. You really have to do a lot of T-touches and sometimes just stroke them a lot like this to get the hair out. And they don't like that so much either. And you can encourage them to roll outside. But Huskies do leave hair everywhere, and it's the same kind of hair as Corgis have, so it's easy to clean up. But if your pet passes away, well, not if, when your pet passes away, those hairs that accumulate around the house are a constant reminder of the animal that you loved and who loved you. And when my friend lost her husky, even though she has other dogs, she cried happiness when she found little clumps of husky hair in the corner behind the TV, running around the bookcase, in her bedroom, under the bed. Dog hair loves to live under the bed. And so having those little pieces of hair in the areas where your pet had lived when he was in his body, in his life with you, can be comforting for some people. For other people, it might be upsetting. But I know when I lost my dog Comet 2 years ago, I didn't vacuum the area where he laid very thoroughly for a few days. Like immediately after he died, I cleaned everything because I knew I would never clean it if I didn't do it immediately. But I left a few tumbleweeds in the back of the corner there, knowing that that was his hair. And of course, I have trimmed some of his hair and have it in an envelope, and many of us do that. But the importance of the dog's hair when they pass can't be underestimated, and it may be very difficult to find a little clump of it stuck somewhere when your dog has passed away. But it's also an important reminder of the companionship and love that you had with that dog. And many of us keep little pieces of our dog's hair when they pass away. I have necklaces that have little containers in them that have some of my dog's hairs in them. I have envelopes full of their hair. And one person I know took one of those shadow picture frames and put a beautiful piece of her husky's hair, another person, in like a sunshine shape in that, and her dog was golden colored. And so it's beautiful. It's a nice reminder, and it doesn't smell like your sweater that you made out of your collie's hair. So those are some of the things that I have to say about dog hair. We are going to go have some more brushing today because we have not gotten our 2 full brushes. Tristan does not love brushing with a slicker brush. I don't blame him. We do some T-touches in between, and don't forget your lick of the cow's tongue like this, coming up from your dog's tummy and over his top. That's a good way to loosen some of the hairs. And again, I could just take a damp towel over him and get off all of this hair that I just got with the lick of the cow's tongue. It's blowing around the kitchen. And this is after I just brushed him a couple of times. I mean, he is really a hairy little guy. It's like snow. The kitchen table will never be the same, Tristan. We can't eat here. It's unsanitary. So I hope you enjoy your day with dog hair, knowing that by the middle of the summer, it will stop coming out as much. And also knowing that your pet hair can be a reminder of your pet in your day-to-day life and when your pet is passed. And it's actually a blessing that our pets have hair. One of the most wonderful experiences we have with our animals is stroking their lustrous, silky coats, especially if you have a dog that's fed a good diet. Mine gets some coconut oil every day in his food, which has given him a beautiful soft coat. And it really is one of the joys of our lives with pets to be able to stroke their coats and really enjoy the comfort of their furry little bodies. It would not be the same if I had a dog without hair. And I do know some people that have breeds of cats and dogs without hair, and they still have a little bit of peach fuzz on them. It still is a pleasant experience to stroke them. But I know I appreciate every hair on this dog, every one that goes in the vacuum cleaner, every one that ends up in the brush. And I also put it out in the trees so that birds can use it to make nests. One of my horse clients used to love to get bird nests that had specific horsehairs in them. She knew that some sparrows nested right by her front door, and each spring she would collect some hair from a specific horse and put it by the nest. She would take the nest down and keep it as a reminder of her horses. So I encourage you to find some creative uses, and please write in with your comments about how you get rid of dog hair and how you enjoy your dog hair and how you manage it in your life in the spring. And it's been a pleasure talking to you about this topic, which is near and dear to my heart, and my vacuum cleaner, and my mouth, and my eyes, and my clothes, and Tristan's too. So enjoy your day, and we are going to have a talk about harnesses. I'm not sure what day I'm doing that yet, because a lot of people after my talk yesterday have been asking me about harnesses and how to know when you have the right one for your dog. It's really hard to do that without actually seeing your dog, but I can give you a lot of suggestions and pointers. So we will probably be doing that in a few days, and I do have some things to talk about in your dog's brain that I think are interesting. So that may be coming up too. And then we have a special show planned for the weekend for Easter. So this is Sally Morgan and Tristan Corgi and his hair signing off for Conversations with a Corgi today. Enjoy your day, and don't forget to run your arms over your clothes when you get out of the car with your dog to make sure you're not bringing too much dog hair into the grocery store. Bye-bye.